Testing. Are we recording? I hope so, because I don't have headphones to check my sound. Anyway, here we go. Hello, hey, sweet people. It is Foster. I just wanted to give you a quick update before the episode today. This year, in 2020, we are doing 12 different language challenges. So each month we will have a different challenge. For example, we have a challenge about improving your vocabulary, a challenge about making good first impressions in English, and a 30-day challenge about having better, more natural, more authentic conversations with native speakers. I personally am super excited about it, and I would love for you to participate. So if you like this show, if you like what we do, and you are serious about improving your English in 2020, then I really think you should participate in some of these challenges. So if you would like to learn more, just check out inglesnuecrupodcast.com. Let's get on with the show.
Bom, gente, se vocês não sabem, o Cambly continua com a nossa parceria, o nosso amor. E você pode ir lá no Cambly.com ou no aplicativo do Cambly e colocar em minutos grátis Inglês no Podcast. Mas o que é isso, Alexia? É a primeira vez que eu tô escutando vocês, não faço ideia. Sim, então, Cambly é o nosso parceiro, né? E é uma plataforma de inglês online que você pode encontrar professores 24 horas por dia por lá. Ou seja, se você estiver aí de bobeira, são, sei lá, 8h30 da noite, você não tá afim mais de ver série, já cansou dessa história, não sabe, tá afim de falar com uma pessoa de algum lugar do mundo, vai lá no Cambly.com, no aplicativo do Cambly, e vai treinar seu inglês. Vai fazer uma coisa boa pra você e pra sua segunda ou terceira língua, que eu não sei se você aprendeu inglês antes ou depois de espanhol ou francês ou coisa parecida, né? Então, é isso. Faz o seu login, coloca o seu e-mail. Não precisa colocar cartão de crédito, nada. E coloca aí minutos grátis Inglês no Podcast. Escolhe um professor e seja feliz. Então é isso. Se você quiser falar com alguém, fazer aula de conversação, fazer a aula mais filtrada para sua área de interesse, o Cambly oferece disso tudo, tá bom? Então, é isso. Now, on with the show.
Hello, hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Inglês no Cru. My name is Foster, still, and we are still currently under lockdown. We are in quarantine, and I'm coming to you live from the forest in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is my hometown, minha cidade natal. This is where I was born and raised. So I am just walking in the woods, getting some fresh air, stretching my legs, and I thought I would talk to you guys. And what I was thinking about talking about today, maybe for the next couple of days, is just about how I'm spending my time in quarantine. We've already done a few episodes about this. You should check them out. They are very fun. We talk about how I bought a banjo and I'm learning to play banjo. And we've talked about Alexia and her recent obsession with all things related to gardening, flowers, plants, horticulture. She is turning our apartment in Porto into a jungle. So if you want to check those out, I highly recommend it. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about something else I've been doing during quarantine. And this might not be a big surprise to you, but I've been listening to a ton of podcasts, which I always do, but nowadays it is probably a little bit more intense. Some days I feel like that's pretty much all I'm doing is listening to a ton of podcasts during one day. So today I was thinking about recommending two of my favorite history podcasts. So when I say history, I am talking about, in general, I'm talking about nonfiction podcast. So these are just recounting different stories throughout history, and it will all make more sense with the specific recommendations. So let's get started. Recommendation number 1 for awesome history podcasts that you can listen to wherever you get podcasts. My first recommendation is a podcast called Hope Through History. So this is a new podcast produced by John Meacham. He is a journalist, a reporter, a biographer, and he graduated from my university, Sewanee, the University of the South. So that means we share an alma mater. That is a good, weird, educational thing to know in English. Your highest degree or the last place that you studied is considered your alma mater. Alma mater. I believe that is Latin. I don't really know why we say it, but we do sometimes. Anyways, this podcast, Hope Through History, it is absolutely fantastic. And there are a bunch of people walking by, so I think we might have to stop for a second. Okay, so let's stop for just a second so I can catch my breath and to think about pronunciation for just 1 second. So the word world. Então, a palavra mundo. This is difficult because we have the R sound, were, and we also have that tricky RL combination that can be really difficult for Brazilians. So, what can we do? Whenever you have a really difficult combination of sounds in English, I always recommend separating or deconstructing those sounds into their most basic parts. So in this case, we have the word world, which consists of 2 separate sounds, were, old. So for example, they were going to the supermarket and my parents are getting old. Okay, we're old. So what I recommend that you do is you start by saying these 2 sounds slowly. So just repeat with me. We're old. We're old. We're old. And just do that for like 30 seconds. Just repetition is how you improve. We're old. We're old. Okay, and when you can do that very comfortably, you can do it without thinking, you can start getting a little bit faster. And you can say, we're old, we're old, we're old, we're old. This is probably a little bit more difficult, but do it for like 30 seconds until you can do it consistently, smoothly, without making too many mistakes. And then you can even add a stress to the second syllable, which sounds like this. We're old, we're old, we're old, we're old, we're old. And as you keep getting faster and faster, eventually those 2 sounds just combine together and you begin to say world, world, world. Okay, so just to review, start very slowly. We're old, we're old. Get a little bit faster. We're old, we're old, we're old, we're old, we're old, we're old. And then you can add a stress to the second syllable. We're old, we're old, we're old, world, 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 world. And that just combines together and creates that beautiful RL sound in English. Okay, anyways, we were talking about a history podcast, which you can learn about FDR and the Great Depression. You can learn about Winston Churchill and World War II. World War II. Meu Deus. And if you are Brazilian, if you are anything like Alexia, you are obsessed with Winston Churchill. I don't know if that's a Brazilian thing or if that's just Alexia and her dad, but Churchill is fascinating. Check him out. He also has an episode about the polio epidemic, which I knew very little about, but unfortunately is a super relevant topic in the current situation. And then today he has an episode about JFK, John F. Kennedy. A lot of American presidents have acronyms. FDR, JFK, LBJ. That's a good thing to study. We did an episode on acronyms in English. I believe it was episode 45, but I'm not certain. Anyway, today they just dropped an episode about JFK and the Cuban Missile Crisis, and that's what I'm listening to right now. Okay, guys, so I am talking a lot, so I think I'm going to stop for now. But if you are at home and you are kind of missing an academic feeling, you miss studying, you miss being in the classroom, or just that feeling of learning feels good. If you miss that and you want to brush up on some American history, I recommend checking out the podcast Hope Through History by John Meacham. Okay, I will talk to you guys soon.
Muito obrigada por ter escutado mais um episódio aqui do nosso Inglês no Rádio. Vocês sabem que nós fazemos o possível e impossível para deixar o inglês mais pertinho de vocês, né? E é um prazer imenso que a gente possa estar acompanhando vocês no dia a dia, na rotina e fazer parte da hora da cozinha, de faxina, tomar banho, dirigir, o que for. Então, eu queria aqui deixar bem claro que se você entrar lá no nosso site, inglesnuecrupodcast.com, você vai poder ver um pouco mais do que a gente oferece de produtos, além aqui do nosso podcast querido, que a gente chama de paixão. Então vão lá, vão no nosso site, dê aquela força pra gente, procurem saber mais o que a gente está fazendo e é aquilo, né, galera? Cada mês nós temos um challenge novo. Então, eu acho que é a hora de aproveitar. Então é isso. Um beijo grande e a gente se vê no próximo episódio. Bye!